Hey, what's going on, everyone? Let's talk about the Scream franchise, and this will be me ranking the Scream movies from worst to best. And there aren't that many movies to rank in the first place, but nonetheless, it should be a fun discussion. So without further ado, let's start this video. Coming in at number 5, the most recent entry into the franchise, Scream 2022, Scream 5, Scream whatever you want to call it, is ranked number 5. Now, my thoughts on this movie haven't really changed, and the movie wasn't really groundbreaking. And I just think Scream 2022 was too aware for my liking. Like in the 1996 Scream movie, I think it was just a moment where Randy, he was just giving these horror movie tropes and just giving out these cliches about horror movies. I didn't think it was gonna spawn off sequels and everything like that. But in this movie, they just took it to a whole nother level, and it just kind of turned me off from this movie. But of course, people took it and ran with it, and they made it a big deal in this movie. So in Scream 6, the sequel, you best believe that they're gonna take it up a notch. And I know the whole Scream franchise is based on this, but I really think they made a mistake by trying to, mold their movies after horror movie tropes and all of that. But honestly, that's what killed the vibe for me in this Scream 2022 movie. But it seemed like a nostalgia trip, just like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, and all the other movies. And they brought back Stu's house. They brought back the main characters, Sidney, Gail, Dewey. And they even brought back Randy to a certain extent. They used his family tree. They had him on the TV playing. Well, it wasn't Randy, but you get what I'm saying. And, how could I forget about Samantha and her dad? They brought back Billy Loomis, which was a far stretch, and it was definitely unnecessary. He wasn't needed at all. But the thing that irked me the most was the killer's motive. It was so stupid and not realistic. And speaking of stuff being realistic, what was up with that little girl killing Dewey like that? That definitely wasn't realistic, especially after being shot and falling down in a wooden glass case. Bulletproof vest or not, you're gonna feel that. And I don't even know why Dewey wasn't aiming for the head, but that's neither here or there. She had the crazy attitude down pat. Well, the ghost face that I'm talking about, I forget her name. But yeah, she had the ghost face down pat when she revealed herself. I'm not gonna lie about that. She was acting crazy or whatever. But the sidekick, I'm even forgetting the dude's name, Samantha's boyfriend. He was just so bland. And from the beginning, I'm pretty sure everybody knew that he would be the killer, especially when he was talking about he didn't know about Stab, he never heard about it and stuff like that. But like I said, the ghost face reveal was so underwhelming, and in a way, this movie was basically a remake of the original. And one more thing before I move on, the acting in this movie was bad. Sam, well, the girl who played Sam, her acting was so not there. She could have did better. And did you all notice how she was acting and talking, trying to explain who she was when she approached Dewey's trailer? That junk reminded me of Karen talking outside the restaurant with Allison in Halloween 2018. Y'all remember that when Karen, it just seemed like she was reading off a piece of paper like a freaking robot. But I also forgot to mention that, Dewey's death in this movie didn't really mean nothing to me. I didn't get sad, I didn't care or whatever, and it just meant nothing. And apparently it didn't mean nothing to Gail and Sidney either, because they're cracking jokes 30 minutes later after they left the hospital. I'm just like, I guess Dewey didn't matter to anyone. And Sidney, she was non-existent in this movie. Gail, she was pointless snooze fest as usual. And, apparently Gail is a fan favorite because in one of my Scream videos I posted, people said Gail was pointless. That's one of my favorites. But, I never was a fan of her character. But like I said in my review of this movie, I could care less about seeing Scream 6 that's coming up. And, Scream 5 it was a movie to go to. That's it. Okay, so on to number 4. Scream 4. Often, this movie seems to be a fan favorite. But to me, it's just a movie that should have just ended the franchise properly. And I didn't like Sydney Cousin being the killer. And although she did a great job with acting, it just felt like a Lifetime movie over someone being jealous. That's all it was. And to be honest, it's not that much to like about this movie other than the girl Kirby or whatever. That's the only thing. But to me, it was just a regular slasher movie. And it ran its course at that point in time. And it's like Dewey keeps getting stabbed and hurt, Gail getting shot, stabbed, and they keep coming back. So it almost like they got supernatural abilities, but it's just over and over again the same stuff. And Scream 4, I used to like this movie a lot, but I rewatched it not too long ago, and it was just like I didn't feel nothing with it. And I know it's a fan favorite, and a lot of people have this movie ranked either second or first sometimes. But for me, it's coming in at number 4. Now, coming in at number 3, Scream 3. Now, look, for whatever reason, Scream 3 gets a lot of hate. And I love it, especially the beginning with Cotton Weary. The story does drift off a little bit, but I didn't mind it. And I love how they incorporated the stab movie in this one. And honestly, Scream 3 is an okay movie and it's solid. And I could understand why people would say, I didn't like how Sydney was having visions of her dead mom and stuff like that. I get that because it didn't feel like a Scream movie at those moments. But one could argue that Scream 3 is the darkest Scream other than the original in the franchise. So that's where I rank it. I rank Scream 3 at number 3. Now, coming in at number 2, Scream 2. I honestly believe this movie started the sequel craze in the late 1990s. And people wanted those popcorn, high school, teenage flick horror movies. And that's exactly what Scream 2 was. And this movie, you could tell that they were just trying to aim for box office success because Scream 1996 just exploded in the box office. So they had to come back the following year and do the same thing. So with this movie, they said, hey, let's try to get more. It's almost like Blumhouse copied the same method with Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. They brought in, everybody, they did little things to get the audience attention and get, I guess, regular moviegoers to see a horror movie. So that's the same thing that Scream 2 did. And it seems like they wanted to reach out to all audiences. So they reached out and they got, the black audience. They brought in Jada Pinkett Smith and they brought in the dude that was playing in Love and Basketball. They brought in pop culture stars like Buffy the Vampire. What's her name? Sarah Michelle Gellar, whatever her name is. Y'all get what I'm saying. But they brought all that in to check all the boxes to reach that box office peak. And all the movies in the 90s did it. I mean, Halloween H2O did it, LL Cool J, and, the list goes on and on. But overall, I feel like the intro to Scream 2 is perfect. And it's arguably my favorite intro into the franchise. But after that, the movie kind of, it kind of drifts off a little bit. And, it took a while for the story to get started. But for me, I think what threw me off was this movie being set in college. I didn't really like that, which is unlike me because I like those movies that's, set on college campuses. But for me, I just think they didn't capitalize on it like they should have. But I will say that this movie had a great moment at the end when the killers revealed themselves. And I think it saved the movie to a certain extent. And the kills wasn't that good, but I could say that about every movie in this franchise, that the kills aren't that good. But yeah, I'm ranking Scream 2 at number 2. Now, coming in at number 1, a movie that could be a classic in any era it came out in. Scream 1996. Now, this is not only a top 5 horror movie of mine, but also one of my top 5 movies in general. And the cast in this movie was great. The script was great. And the whole mystery behind it, it was just genius. Billy and Stu. I mean, what more can I say about those two? I mean, those are real psychos. And this is the only movie in the franchise that seems realistic. And it could happen in real life. and this movie carried the 90s and it revitalized the 90s. And I could put this movie against any of the best horror movies in each decade. The 70s, put it against the best movie. 80s, put it against the best movies. Scream will hold its own, and I love this movie. 10 out of 10. So yeah, there's my Scream ranking, and as you can tell, it's ranked backwards in order. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But, I guess that means every sequel gets worse and worse. But yeah, do you all agree with my rankings or do you disagree? And also, share your rankings down below. And also, if you have any other things to, express about the Scream franchise, share it down in the comment section. And if you like this video, go check out my channel and check out my other videos. And if you like it, then subscribe and hit that notification button so you can see every time I upload. As always, be safe, peace.